Hey stars, it's me, Sharp Star, and I'm back. Just to let you guys know, I am feeling better every day. And I got up today and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to reach out to my followers and give them some news. I mean, I know that we're hearing a lot about the wildfires in California and different things. And I just wanted to reconnect with you guys. Actually, I missed you guys. Actually, that's what it is. Point blank. Period. Okay, so we're going to start off with the California wildfires. Now, California has some out of control wildfires, and from what I understand, there's like six wildfires going on at one time. And apparently, five people so far have been unalived, and over 130,000 people displaced, and they had to flee their homes in the second largest city in America. So I just wanted to send out prayers to the people dealing with this devastation and let them know that we're rooting for them and we're praying for them. It's devastating. We hear about these fires pretty much every year, but this particular one this particular six seem to be coming more inland, if you know what I mean. It's coming further in where it never came before. So again, we just want to have prayers, and I'm sure some of us have family in California and different places. So just keep them in your prayers and keep them on your mind and let them know that we're thinking about them. You know? Okay. Also, did you know that Vanessa Williams, actor, actress, singer, dancer, she actually lost her mom over the holidays. She reported it on December 28th that her mom, Helen Williams, passed away at the age of 85. Now, from what I understand, Helen, her mom, had flown to London to see her daughter, Vanessa, in the West End show, which is what is it? The Devil Wear Prada. It's a show, a live show instead of the movie and different things. She's doing a live show of The Devil Wears Prada, which I'm very interested to see with Vanessa Williams. But yeah, her mom passed away after flying there 20 days after she turned 85. This was part of her Christmas gift, was to go to London and see her daughter in this live play. She passed away with complications of acute liver failure at a London clinic. So I just wanted you guys to know. I didn't really hear about it, and I wanted you guys to know so all her fans can continue to send her love, and let her know that we're thinking about Vanessa. Um, it's sad, like I said. It used to be here today, gone tomorrow. And I was telling a friend the other day that it's not here today, gone tomorrow. It's here today, gone today. You can't take anything for granted anymore, like anything for granted. So, again, I just want to send out prayers to Vanessa Williams for her mom, Helen Williams, for passing away again at the age of 85. Um, Vanessa is now 61, guys. Vanessa Williams is now 61 years old, which is a blessing. Okay. So did you, wait a minute, you know what? This is weird too. I'm gonna go out off a little off of what I normally would do. Did you guys know that here in New Jersey, I'm almost ashamed to even state this, because you would think it would be someplace other than New Jersey. But now teachers or people that would like to become teachers no longer need to pass the basic reading, writing, and math tests for certification in New Jersey to become a teacher. Yeah, you heard me. They no longer need to pass a basic reading, writing, and math test to become certified to teach our kids. Okay. So the more I had read into it, I was like, well, wait a minute, that just sounds ridiculous. Because if you can't read and do math, how are you going to teach my kid to read and do math? I'm drinking my lemon and ginger tea. Swearing by it for the past week or so, really. Well, the more I read into the story, I realized that they're still requiring you to have a bachelor's degree. And how many people have bachelor's degree that can't they do basic reading, writing, and math skills? So it's kind of like you're putting something out there to give us a big bow, like what? That's absurd. How can you not be able to read, write, or do math, but yet teach kids to do what you don't know how to do? But because there is a word play on words, and I think there's a real need for teachers at this point because of salaries and the violence that's going on in schools these days. There's a shortage of teachers, so I guess they're trying to bring in more and more teachers and make it easier for them. But you're still required to have a bachelor's degree to be a teacher. So again, how many people with a bachelor's degree or even an associate's degree don't know how to do basic reading, writing, and math skills? So I just wanted to put that out there. But it just doesn't sound right. It sounds crazy, but it is what it is. I mean, I think that teaching is a job that I would prefer you want to teach. I understand the salary, of course, should be higher. You have people that work, and this is no shade to transit workers or anything of the sort, but you have people working in transit making twice the salaries of a teacher. And speaking of conductors and motormen, and I'm not saying that it's not worth the salary, but what I'm saying is the train is already on the track, sir. The train is on the track. You just need to do a certain mechanical things to keep things going. Okay, so a teacher should be paid more than $40,000 to $50,000. A basic assistant in a basic law firm or place, they make more than that. So again, I just wanted to put it out there. It's again like I try to bring you stories that you haven't heard of or no one's really speaking of, but you may find interesting. So we're going to move on to um, Decatur, Georgia. Now I've been hearing more and more of these stories of bus drivers and transit workers being attacked on the job. And okay, so this story comes from Decatur, Georgia. On January 3rd, Leroy Ramos, who was a 47-year-old father of three, martyr bus driver, was got into an argument with some guys that got on the bus that didn't want to pay their fare. And somehow they lured him off the bus and pow-powed him, unaliving him. And another passenger was also hit by gunfire. And you're starting to hear more and more of these violent things happening. Listen, I am not, as a bus driver, and I would say bus driver, not so much train conductors, because by the time you get on a train, your fare has been paid. But here on the buses, it's all simultaneously. You see the driver, you pay the driver, So, but I'm not losing my life for $2.50. And that's what the fare is in Decatur, Georgia, $2.50. So this father of three now has lost his life fighting with some people who didn't want to pay the fare. I'm not going to fight for any city I work for someone for a $2.50 fare. That's not what I'm there. I'm there to drive the bus. I'm there to make sure that my passengers are safe and get to and from their destination. I'm not there to police people. If you want to pay, great. If you don't want to pay, I'm not going to push the issue for so much. It is what it is. People are losing their lives. This is a father of three young children who have lost his life for a $2.50 fare, fighting with someone because they didn't, or a few people actually, who didn't want to pay their fare on a bus. I think that the young people now death and injuries mean nothing to them now. I think that a lot of the young people these days, they don't have any social skills. Meaning, I was talking to a friend just the other day, and we were talking about conflict. Um, you know, remedying conflict, and the teenagers and young adults these days do not know how to deal with conflict because they're first of all, they're not used to communicating one on one. Everything is through text and through social media. You hardly see people having a one on one conversation without their phones in their hands or something like that. But being able to deal with conflict is very, very important. We deal with conflict every day in our homes, commuting back and forth to work, at work. So I don't know people, but I think that it's getting really dangerous out there. And I think it's going to get even worse in the coming weeks and months of 2025. We have a new president coming in, and who knows what that's going to bring. So I just wanted you guys to know that, yeah, Leroy Ramis, 47 years old, lost his life for $2.50 as a martyr bus driver. Okay. Now, I have a very interesting story back to California. A woman in California fights off alleged kidnapper. Okay. Now, let me tell you the story. It's weird. This woman, from reading the story, I'm assuming she's a woman of means. And apparently, she fired a housekeeper 9 months ago for whatever reason. They didn't even state why she fired her, but the housekeeper is from Mexico. And the woman name is Erin Quinn in California. She runs a toy drive every year, charity work. Like I said, I believe she's a woman of means. And she received an anonymous phone call stating to her this past Christmas that this was an elderly woman who needed her to come to her house to pick up some gifts she wanted to donate to her toy drive. So, of course, that's what you do. So she got in her car. She went over to the person's house or the address that they gave. Well, she gets out of the car. Apparently, she had to walk around to the side of the house and she was ringing the doorbell and no one answered. And then she receives another text while she's standing there stating, "Please wait in your car. I will have the gifts brought out to you." So she goes back around the house, goes back to her car, and gets in her car and waiting, not knowing that um, a kidnapper had already entered her car. So while she was around the house ringing the doorbell, they snuck into her car. I don't know if it was a van, a truck, a car. They just stayed her vehicle. Snuck into her car. So when she gets back into her car waiting for these gifts to be brought out to her, these toys, the person attacks her from behind in her car and starts to tase her with a taser in her head, just tasing her. And the confrontation got so violent in the car where the person was attacking her from behind. She wound up biting off half of the person's finger. That's how bad it had got. And they fought. She snatched, the person had a blonde wig. She snatched the wig off, only to find out that it was her maid from Mexico that she had fired 9 months before. So the woman runs off. And this woman, of course, she's been tased. And the police come and they do their investigation, only to find out, of course, they had a half of a finger. They had the wig. They had hair follicles. They had everything to tie this woman to it. And they wound up catching her 10 days later while she was trying to flee back to Mexico. And when they arrested her, they found out that she attacked her former employer because she felt like she was fired unfairly and that she was going to kidnap her and take her across the border to Mexico to sell her into slavery. Sink that in. We'll let that sink in, actually. So this woman was fired 9 months ago, and she waits until to plan this diabolical plan to attack and kidnap this woman to take her to Mexico to sell her. So you just can't fire someone now and you just walk away. Now the girls are coming back for you one way or another. And now she was your housekeeper, cleaning up and doing things, whatever it is she's doing. Now she wants to sell you to be a slave. Mm-hmm. So we have to be careful who we let in our homes. Background checks have to be done. Wow, that's amazing. And you think you fired someone 9 months ago, you may not even be thinking about that 9 months ago. That was 9 months ago, almost a year ago. And here you go, doing a toy drive for Christmas, and this woman's diabolical plan is to kidnap you and to sell you in Mexico. So, yeah, let that sink in. And people are crazy. And I tell you guys all the time, mental illness is real. Okay. Well, did you know that Apple now has to pay $95 million? Apple has agreed to settle a $95 million lawsuit to settle Siri listening lawsuit. So apparently, somehow Apple had Siri eavesdropping on its customers. So now Apple has to now pay $95 million to settle this Siri listening lawsuit. And I think technology is great, but I think that with technology and with AI now, it's starting to get scary, very, very scary. You can barely believe what you hear. You can just a little bit believe what you see. And now you have, through your phones and through whatever electronics you have, your phones, your iPads, your desktops, they're spying on you. They're spying on you. They're listening to what you say, good, bad, or indifferent, is being recorded. And that's kind of my issue with Tesla. I think Tesla is great. I've driven the Cybertruck. Oh my God, I've driven the Beast, and the Beast is a beast. When you hit that button and you hit that gas to go from 0 to 100 in seconds. When I say seconds, I mean 3 seconds. Ridiculous. I don't think a car needs to actually go that far. I mean, how fast do we need to drive, really? I mean, we have limits, and these cars, the speeds are just crazy. But nevertheless, these cars are all computerized. Everything is recorded. It's constantly recording what's going on around your vehicle, what's going on in your vehicle, conversations you're having in your vehicle. And for people to be so private, they're jumping onto these things and not really taking into consideration that you're being recorded 24 hours a day, 7 days a week when you're around these Apple products. How often do we talk in our homes outwardly to a friend or family and say, you know what, what's those new sneakers that's been released through Foot Locker? And no sooner than you say it, it pops up on your phone. The sneaker you was just talking about. How many times do you just mention something and all of a sudden it pops up on your screen? They're listening to you. So now Apple has to pay $95 million to settle the Siri lawsuit, listening lawsuit. Now, Apple is stating that it wasn't done on purpose and that no information was sold to anyone else or anything, but that's not the point. You think that when you're home, in the privacy of your home, that what you say is said in privacy, just that. But that's not the case. With all of these things going on, they're listening to us constantly. So with that being said, guys, be careful what you say. Yeah. So I also came across, did you know that Paris Jackson, the late Michael Jackson's only daughter, she's now 26 years old. And on January 7th, she celebrated 5 years of being clean of heroin and alcohol addiction. So for 5 years now, she's been clean of heroin and alcohol. She again is 26 years old. Who knew? And this is just going to be allegedly, and this is just my opinion, but when I heard it, it was sad to hear, but I wasn't surprised to hear it. And only I say that only because I remember when Michael Jackson was alive and you would see him with Blanket and his kids. They were always covered up and he didn't want you to see their identity. He didn't want he didn't want you to see their identity. He kept them private. They played amongst themselves or maybe family members. I'm not even sure how far that went. But where else do these kids turn to when they don't have anybody out privately and publicly just to be kids, just to live a regular, normal life? So what they do, of course, the first thing a human being will do to something to numb that fear, and most of the time, that would be alcohol and drugs. But for you to hear heroin, wow. So I say congratulations to Paris for celebrating 5 years clean and sober. Um, you never know what people are going through. You never know. You think, oh, that's Michael Jackson's daughter, and you know that he was worth way more dead than alive, and that may have been so. And from what I understand, that they all the kids inherited at this point like $100 million or something like that, and that's great. But money isn't everything. It can't substitute when you're lonely. It's just money. And once you go shopping every day of the week and buy everything you want, it may take you a month or two to get everything in. But once that 2 months is over and you've spent all this money and got everything that you want, you're still lonely, you know? So you never know what people are going through. And we think that money is the savior of everything. Sure, money can make life easier, but it also brings on its own set of issues and problems. And also, from what I understand, with people with major amounts of wealth, you can become, you don't want to be around people. You don't know who you can trust. You start thinking everyone's after you. You don't know, you can't just meet a friend. You're always questioning why they want to be your friend. Why do they want to be around you? It's just weird. So again, you never know what people are going through. And I just want to go back one more thing back to the California wildfires. Now, the thing is, people are saying, yeah, the wildfires are happening and it's happening in Malibu and this, that, and the other. And these are very wealthy people. All that is great. All that is great. But you have to remember wealthy people, celebrity people, middle class people, underprivileged people are losing their homes in these fires. It's not picking and choosing, it's taking everything. And it doesn't matter how much wealth you have because some things can't be replaced. You have your late mom and your late dad or your late grandparents, and you have articles from them. It can be a blanket, it can be pictures, it can be anything. Once those things are gone, most of the time they're gone forever. So a lot of things are not the value. It's just you can't even put a value amount to it because once it's gone, it's gone. And these people, like I said, regardless of what amount of wealth they have, they are losing everything. And sure, they can rebuild, and sure, they can do certain things, but certain life will never be the same for some because you may have your ashes of your parents. You may have. It's just so much you lose in things like this. So please don't try to put everything with wealth. Oh, they'll be fine. I'm sure they'll rebuild, and I'm sure they have other homes to go to. But that's not the point. Some things cannot be replaced. Some things are worth more than money, people. And as we get older and of a certain age, you learn that money's good, but guess what? Health is better. You can be rich with poor health. The money is not going to do anything for you. You can be poor with great health. And guess what? Sky's the limit. So I want you guys to continue to be intentional, continue to reach out to your family, continue to reach out. Now that the holidays are over, you're like, oh, I'll see them next year. No, I'm telling you, here today, gone today. I love you guys. I just wanted to put out something. I wanted you guys to hear from me and to see that I'm doing better every day. And until next time, I love you guys.